Being a doula can be lonely. I know because I've been there, showing up to networking events where I didn't feel seen, heard, or connected. But that experience lit a fire in me to create something different. What happened next not only transformed my network, but my entire view on how powerful community could be. Hey there, I'm Jarriel. I'm a birth and postpartum doula. I'm also the host and the creator of this podcast, the Doula Road Trip Podcast. And this month, for the month of December, I have decided to launch an intensive called Answer the Call, Launch Your Doula Career in 30 Days. And today we are on day 8 of the journey, and we are diving into the lessons that I learned about the power of being in community with other doulas, right? So before we get started, just a quick little recap. So for week 1, the first 7 days of this series, we were actually talking about confidence. We were talking about clarity and how to really anchor yourself and prepare for the journey that you're about to go on as you dive into a new career, which is becoming a doula, right? And so for day 8, which was yesterday, we actually dived into doula trainings, right? And that episode was long. I hope you got some sauce because there were so many nuggets, and I highly suggest you going back and listen to the first 8 days of this series if you haven't yet. Okay, so today for day 9, what we're going to hop into is talking about community and how powerful it can be to constantly surround yourself and be in community with other doulas. Okay, so a bit of a backstory, right? Come back to like 2020, right? This was during the pandemic. And like everybody else, I had a lot of time to think and reflect on my career and my doula network. And something stood out to me, right? I realized that I didn't know many Black doulas or doulas of color who were serving my community, same community that I was serving, right? I realized that a lot of the times when I was showing up to local doula meetups, I was the only person who was a person of color in the room. And in the world at that time, there was a lot of conversations around systemic racism, violence against people of color, and healthcare disparities, especially when it came to maternal and infant mortality. And I started to notice that I was getting a lot of inquiries at that time for people that wanted to hire Black doulas, right? And while I was thinking like, okay, this is great that people are finding me and they want to hire Black doulas, I also realized that one, if I got booked or took capacity, I couldn't really refer people out because I didn't know anybody else to refer people to. And not only that, my backup doula was not a doula of color. So I really didn't feel like in good conscience I could actually book these clients, because if something were to happen where I was unavailable, my contract does say that I can get a backup doula involved at that time. And I didn't feel good knowing the client's intention from the beginning was to have someone that looked like them in the birth room. And I couldn't provide that via my backup doula or via referral. So I knew something had to change. And at that time, I had a business coach, and Juneteenth was coming up. And she said, well, why don't you just go ahead and create a local meetup for Black and brown doulas? So I was resistant to that. I was like, I'm tired of always starting something and being the first and going first. I don't want to start it. And I really, if I'm being honest, was fearful that nobody else would show up, right? Because I didn't feel seen, I didn't feel heard, but I also didn't think that other people noticed and felt like I felt, right? So, against my better judgment, I decided to go ahead and start the meetup, right? So, Juneteenth was the launch. It was the very first meetup. I put the event out on Eventbrite, and what happened next blew me away, right? So, the meetup was a very small gathering. Actually, at the first meetup, I think only 3 people came. We met at a Winking Lizard and we sat like outside at an outside table. And I made my younger sister come with me because I was so afraid that I would be the only person there, right? So it ended up going very well. I still have the picture that I took at that very first meetup. And I was so proud that I conquered my fears and that I decided to move forward and I decided to keep going, right? And this wasn't just about networking anymore, right? Now it was about creating a safe space that was supportive. And we had conversations about real issues, right? I finally got to talk to other doulas about maternal and infant mortality. We were talking about micro and macro aggressions within the industry, locally and globally. And we had a better support system of each other because, once again, we were all going through something where we had to lean on each other to get through it, right? So, one of the early and consistent attendees of my meetup was an up and coming home birth midwife, right? And let's just call her Lisa. So, Lisa had ended up launching her own doula practice, right? And it was so beautiful because she actually came to the meetup looking for a community, looking for a safe space, and the community was able to support her and encourage her to launch out and do her own thing, right? So, we got to see her build her practice from the very beginning, right? And do you guys know that every single person she hired and built her team around in that practice had been a regular attendee at my meetup? She even asked me if I was interested in being her midwife assistant, right? Which is a role that I never even dreamed of or thought possible or even saw for myself or considered at all, right? So, what started as a small gathering turned into a thriving network that uplifted everybody involved, right? Including me as the community leader, which was totally unexpected. Right. So, why this matters, you guys, is because connecting with other birth workers in the field isn't just about building a network. It isn't just about connecting with some folks so maybe you can get some clients. It's about creating real community, right? Where you feel seen, where you feel supported, and where you feel empowered. And that can really anchor you in tough moments in your career and also in moments where you feel like you need somebody. Because let's be honest, we all need each other, right? We all need each other. And although a lot of doulas present solo, right? How many of us know that there are many doulas and mentors that are surrounding that person that allows that person's practice to thrive, right? So, this doula community actually opened up collaborations and opportunities that I may not have expected or experienced otherwise, right? It helps to navigate challenges in my career as well, because when I did have tough situations come up with clients, or when I had questions or client questions that I couldn't answer, do you guys know that I had access? I had on my telephone number personal relationships with midwives who I can ask, right? And it became a safe space to share resources and just to really grow together, right? So, my call to action for you guys is to find your local or global, if you're a virtual doula, community, because I think that this will be a game changer for you if you show up looking to make authentic connections with other doulas in your community, just like it was a game changer for me, right? So, if you are like, well, I don't really know where to start, a good place to start would be Facebook and Eventbrite and Facebook events, right? So, see if you can find your city or your state doulas by searching in Facebook and in Facebook groups and events. Also search an Eventbrite, right? And then if you can't find anything, then this would be a great time to Google like doulas near me, see if other doulas pop up. And you could always ask doulas or midwives that pop up on that Google search if they are hosting, community events or circles for other birth workers in the area. You may find that nothing exists, right? You may find that nothing exists, or nothing exists like what you are imagining. Same way that I found out when I created the BIPOC doula meetup at that time. And so it may be a situation where you have to take the first step and create one just like I did, right? And so, if you do have to create a doula meetup, what I want you to know is that you absolutely can. You can keep it low key. You guys can meet at a restaurant or a free space. You can keep it like super cheap and inexpensive. If you go to a restaurant, you don't have to provide food, you don't have to provide drinks, and you are tapping into a desire that I feel like a lot of us have, which is to be in community with other people, to feel like other people understand us, other people know what we're going through, and we can lean on each other. And also, we can begin to grow and build together, right? And serve our community together and make an even bigger impact, right? And just stay consistent, y'all, because people may not come to the first meetup if you have to do one yourself. But if you stay consistent over time, more and more and more people will start to come together and start to know you as that person in the community who is building community, who is leading, and your name will be ringing in the community, just like mine is, for better or worse, right? So I wanted to let you guys know that being a doula can sometimes be lonely, but it absolutely doesn't have to be, and you don't have to do it alone, right? So consider tapping into that network today. I know it will be a vital piece of the puzzle as you continue to move forward with launching your doula career. All right, y'all. So that is it for day 9. I do want to let you know that I do have a group coaching program that is opening in January. If you want to talk back to me, because I know this is a one-way conversation, right? If you have questions, if you want to refine anything that we talked about during this launch, you absolutely can do that in January. And then we can talk about growing from there, right? Your doula practice your way, in a way that is mindful that you are a whole person that has a personal life, that has family, and that also has a career. And we can build a practice where you can make impact, a practice that you won't burn out from, and one that will be one that is long lasting and you'll have longevity, right? And so I'm so excited for you guys that are going along this journey with me. Let me know if there is anything that I can create for you guys to support you as we go along these 30 days. My email address and also the link to social media will be in the description of this episode, as well as the waitlist link if you would like to join me in January. All right, y'all, I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.